can't focus on what needs to get done. I'm on notice, open digital run. You think I'm tepid?
Today on Recruitsos Learn, we're going to talk about strategic alignment. Strategic alignment isn't something a lot of startups talk about, yet it's a much hotter topic once your organization begins to grow, and especially as you enter the enterprise. A growing company without strategic alignment could result in employees in different departments spending hours working on projects and creating objectives that leave little to no impact for the greater good of the company. This is why it's so important. Today, we'll hear firsthand from Julia Melymbrose, Head of People Operations for Animalz, a growing high-end content marketing agency that specializes in tech. Animalz recently scored second place in an Ahrefs blog that highlighted the 17 best marketing blogs to follow in 2019. Pretty cool. Not only is Julia head of people operations, but she's always been fascinated by the development of work culture and the way remote teams are revolutionizing how we connect and collaborate. Julia loves digging into all things people and understanding what drives fulfillment and happiness at work and beyond. As the head of people operations at Animalz, she's tripled the team into over 30 people across the globe and has also helped set policies and processes that help team members work happily and productively. Let's hear about strategic alignment firsthand, straight from Julia. So, Julia.
Hi.
Hey. Thank you again for imparting wisdom and knowledge and your expertise on the folks watching this video today. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me here. This is exciting.
Yeah, I agree. So let's jump right in. What would you say strategic alignment means to you?
To me, strategic alignment means getting in line with your organization's overall goals and objectives and contributing towards achieving them by becoming an active participant and owning part of those goals. So it means going from the role of somebody who's executing on plans on the tactical level to somebody who creates programs and initiatives to achieve the strategic goals of the company alongside the leadership team.
When the leadership team comes up with those goals and those plans, do you feel it's important for someone from HR to be there at the table with them, or does it not matter if they just hand them down?
No, I think it's very important, and I think it's something that it's also a challenge for HR. We are in a unique position of being in touch with various departments, if not all the departments at the company, and being able to affect a lot of what happens. At the same time, that position can make you feel a little bit stuck sometimes, like you are the intermediary and trying to please everyone. And so that's why I think the strategic elevation and becoming a strategic partner is important, because then you can have a seat at the table and you can contribute to what the leadership team is doing and help them take those initiatives and build programs and do whatever they're planning to do.
Why is it important in the first place? Why would you say it's important?
I think it's important because it's or to put it, I would say it this way, like strategic alignment is a way for the organization to scale through its people. So by being in strategic alignment, people operations can take a wider, more holistic view to the business and the business objectives, and it can use people tools like rewards, compensation, development programs, talent management, to contribute towards the overall goals. Like, even if the goals are revenue related, well, how are we going to get there? We need certain skills on the team. We need certain, we need certain production. We need certain outcomes. And so people operations can really manage that and help everyone in the organization move towards that goal. And so I think it's kind of like, and it's what I said before, it's bringing together those departments and helping them collaborate and helping them make a roadmap for getting to the mission.
Very good. That's a nice segue point here. So yeah. So speaking of roadmap, how did you, Julia, begin to organize your approach to being able to tackle something, huge like strategic alignment for Animalz?
Yeah. I first began the approach by taking a look to where we were right now at the organization, what was happening on the individual level, on the team member level every day, and what were they experiencing as this company that, we were all operating in. And then kind of taking that and comparing it to what our goals were, to what the leadership team was talking about, and finding ways, first, more immediate ways and looking at the short term, or how to help match the two, and then slowly moving towards a more long-term vision, like how do we plan this out. And I think starting where you are right now is very important for strategic alignment, because visions can be grand and great, and we can talk about them all day long, but if we don't map them out and if we don't have a way to actually take steps towards them, they just kind of like remain ideas and dreams, and we want to build this company that, and it never, we're not actually there. So
yeah,
I think it's like right now where we are, it's very important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So the first step that you took, how would you characterize that if you could put it just in one sentence? What's the first thing you did to take action on your plan and implementing strategic alignment?
The first step was an NPS survey, an employee survey. I mean, in terms of like very concrete steps. And the reason was what I said before. I felt I needed to understand where we are right now. So
yeah.
Number one was, let's do an NPS survey. Let's see what people think, what they say, what their experience about where we are.
But how did you go about implementing it? There's so many different ways you could do that. Some are more effective than others. What way did you guys choose to roll out that survey to your employees?
At the time that we did it, the company wasn't very big, and our focus was to get the survey out rather than, implement like a wider tool, and we're going to be doing this all the time. And I think that's also an important point about starting where you are. I always like to tell people when we roll something out, we are testing this out. We are going to see how this works. So there's no long-term expectations from anyone, including yourself, about what this is and what it's going to achieve, because you need to test things out. Not everything is going to work for everyone. So with that in mind, we use Airtable as a software to manage a lot of our database and information and all of that. So, and it has the opportunity within that to create surveys, and you can make them anonymous. And so I was the only person with access to that. I wanted it to be anonymous at the beginning because I wanted people to, a lot of NPS surveys are anonymous anyway, but I don't know if you want to get into that, but you can have them with name or no name, but we wanted to have it anonymous. And I wanted to be the only one who had direct access to it, kind of like at the raw data as it came in. So people felt comfortable to just say what they wanted to say, do it at their own time, and collect honest information, what they felt, what they thought, what they were struggling with.
Walk us through maybe briefly what your structure looks like as a whole for strategic alignment now at your organization. We have a good understanding of where you started, where other people can start if they want to, follow in similar footsteps, or they're looking to get strategic alignment off the ground at their company. And now that it's evolved a bit, what would you say strategic alignment looks like at Animalz for you now?
So yeah, starting from where we want it to be, I think now that it's evolved a little bit and we've been doing it for a while, we look at the overall picture first. So, and we did this in an offsite we had recently with the leadership team, where we put our organizational goals. For example, it can be like hitting a specific revenue goal. We put that on the whiteboard, and then we'll reverse engineer from that what needs to happen in each vertical of the business. So, for example, what does sales need to look like for us to get there? Great. What does customer operations need to look like to get there? And then from that, what does our production need to look like to get there? And from there, I work with each of the directors, each of the leaders from that department to drill down into what needs to happen on the people aspect. So for sales to look that way, what does that mean about our people? What training do we need? What people do we need to bring in? Customer operations, same thing. Production, same things. And so that helps me plan out things like development programs, hiring, how much, what kind of levels, what kind of skills do we need, moving people around in the organization. So it's really, at the moment, it's right now, I should say, it evolved into working backwards from the bigger goal into what do we want to achieve, and then from where we are now. So what kind of development do we need? What kind of hiring do we need? What other initiatives do we need to make that happen?
Absolutely. And I'm curious, just from your own experience, you have to work with different directors, right? And they, you need to have their buy-in on the process. You need to have their full participation. How do you get a director who is a little more apathetic or a bit lukewarm on their participation in something like this to really show up and be a more active participant? How do you get those who are just kind of like, they're a little apathetic?
So the ideal answer, I think I would say is like in theory, you have to sell them on the benefits. And it's not just ideal. I mean, it's good. You really have to explain to them why, give them something to care about. Like, is it the sales? Is it the revenue? Like this is going to happen. Or, we can help improve your team in this way. On the practical level, and depending on various things, it can be, it's not like you're going to say this one phrase and they're going to be like, oh yes, I'm in now. I never thought about that. It may take a little bit more. It may take like other directors like talking about benefit safety and talking about how it will help them, how it will help the company. So I think always tying it back to the overall goal of the company, but then also helping each person see the benefits for their team and what they care about. Because ultimately, I think, especially somebody at the director level, ultimately they do want to contribute and they do care about. They may have different priorities, but I think it's just a matter of aligning with their priorities and making sure that they're on board.
yeah. Well, that's good feedback for anybody out there who's ever experienced that. It can be interesting. With your structure in place now, what have been some of the benefits that you've noticed by getting your organization strategically aligned?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit is that we can be a lot more proactive in our general approach to the business goals rather than reactive. So before it was more of we just got a bigger account or we need 2 more people on this one yesterday, and everyone is just like scrambling to get there, or just kind of like reacting to the reality of the business. So I think being more strategic with people operations, we can be more proactive. We can plan, we can see that in 2 months, we're going to need somebody to fill this position. Can we train inside? Do we need to hire? Do we have the skills? We need to have reviews. Like reviews shouldn't happen when there's an issue, when like things break down and you're going, oh my God, everyone's going crazy. There should be a constant conversation. So, I think I would say that's the biggest benefit, moving from a reactive state to a proactive and taking initiative on things.
What have been some of the drawbacks for you since you've worked on implementing this and working on strategic alignment?
I would say that some of the drawbacks is that it takes a lot of conversations and it takes a lot of digging into to be able to do this. It's not like you're going to make a plan and you're going to make a roadmap and it's going to work out perfectly. Maybe you lose somebody, like an employee along the way that you weren't expecting, or maybe a sale will fall through, and then you have to kind of like realign and see what's happening with the business. So I think it's a kind of thing where you have to balance how much of the planning and the proactive you do ahead of time, because you don't want to be so proactive where you're building all of these structures and hiring for a company that doesn't yet exist, and then it doesn't happen on the date you expected. So I think, that's the drawback, is that you need to start having a lot of open conversations, sometimes difficult conversations. Your financial people or your CEO or whoever isn't going to want to jump in. Yeah, let's hire 10 more people because, maybe in 6 months we'll be there. So it's managing that relationship, managing that tension, which is a healthy tension.
Absolutely. Okay. What would you say as someone who is looking to align their organization, their people, their strategy? What are some of the pitfalls, the common pitfalls they should look out for in taking this approach?
One of the things is making sure that you are coming to the conversation from a position where you can contribute. So you have your own data, your own research, your own ideas as people operations on, the kind of culture you want to build with the rest of the team, and coming to that conversation with ideas and with ways you want to achieve. Because the danger or the pitfall is coming in to help everyone else achieve the goals, and then you end up becoming kind of, getting in the position of, I don't know if facilitator is the right word, but mediator. You're trying to please everyone, and you're trying to make each department align with everyone else, and when you don't have your own standpoint of what it should look like for the field and the company, you can get lost in that, and you can end up just trying to reconcile irreconcilable things, and not feeling like you have true ownership over anything. Just feeling like you're here to execute these crazy ideas. And
I feel like that's good life advice too. Don't let too many people have the same. I just felt the crossover just now. I'm like, that's it. I'm just going to for advice from now on.
It's true, but actually that's a good. It's kind of like somebody like finishing high school or college and trying to decide on a job, and then you have your parents saying, "Oh, you should do that," and you have your professor saying, "Oh, you should do that," and then you're like, "I don't know."
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, totally with you on that. So, last question for you, Julia, and thank you so much for your wisdom and knowledge so far. What final advice do you have for the person who is still watching this? Because it always drops off by the end of it. No matter who you are, you're dropping off. But what kind of advice do you have for someone who's still watching?
So what I would say is that people operations is a very important part of any organization, and it's only going to become more important as we move into the digital age, because we are moving towards a structure of working and a model of working where a lot of the mundane and menial tasks, a lot of the factory work has already and will be more so in the future, automated and given to software and made easy. So that means the work that the people that we have on their team are now contributing much more on an intellectual level. They're idea people, they're creators, they're talents, they're designers and coders and writers, and they do these, very kind of like human talent kind of work. So we're in a unique position where organizations and people are now kind of becoming much more interweaved. It's not the company versus the people. The company cannot survive without its people, and the people. A lot of this intellectual work needs a company, a mission, a bigger vision, a team to be achieved. It's not like people can just do that on their own. So we're in a unique position of facilitating that and of making sure that the company gives the people the mission and the goals to achieve, but it also takes care of them and gives them the stability they need and the space to be creative. And so I think, and I see people operations in the center of all that. So I think it's a very unique place to be, and you should lean into that. It's a great place. It's a great time, to be in people operations, and I think it's gonna progress. It's gonna have the progress is gonna be very interesting in the next few years. So I'm excited to see what happens, and I hope other people are.